Oh, hey, MTR. You have material for our first try-up yet?
No, but just be glad that you're doing a cameo on this video, so that's actually done.
Oh, yeah. Then what's that video you got there?
Shut up and stay away from this show, because you don't have to watch it by every little meaning of that phrase.
Oh, just a solo commentary that I'm planning on doing.
Oh, and what? Not gonna share when me and some other mysterious person of mysterious mystery?
Well, yeah, but I'm planning on doing something different with it.
I already did the toll booth thing, you know.
Wait, what? No, it's not. I'm planning on using a different avatar for every interjection that I make.
You doodle tone sucker.
Shut up! It's also an avatar test! Anyways, you want to see what I have?
My creepy Uncle Jethro asked me that once, but yeah. Although unfortunately my oven's running in the pocket dimension.
Oh, how bad can the commentary be for you?
I spit hot fire, call me Ryuichi. I spit hot fire, call me Ryuichi.
Blackout.
Hello there everyone, and welcome. My name is 8363MTR, here to kick some ass because I got your back. So, the new Powerpuff Girls are here, and it's, well, a lot of people didn't really seem to like it. It's kind of like how people didn't really like Teen Titans Go. The main reason why I brought this up is because Pan Pizza made a top 10 worst reboot countdowns, with the 2016 Powerpuff Girls as one of the entries. However, this caused Neros Q to do a a response video of the 2-minute segment of the Powerpuff Girls that you made. Now, before I begin, like I said within the overall intro skit, I'm going to be using different avatars for each interjection. However, I'm mainly doing this for an avatar test. Basically put, besides these avatars I have up on the screen, all of these avatars I displayed are not final. Hell, with Peyton Manning, after this commentary, I'm only going to be using him for a co-op with somebody, then I'm just gonna drop him. You guys can tell me down in the comments below which ones fits me or not. Otherwise, with all that being said, let's take a look.
Oh, man. Okay, Rebel Taxi? Or is it Pan Pizza? What the heck? Look, someone needs to say something, and I really didn't want to be the one to do it, but I will. Your dislike for the new Powerpuff Girls show is alright, and I respect your opinion.
Oh. Okay. Well, looks like this commentary that I'm making is already...
At least that's what I wish I could say.
Fucking hell, I just wanted to play some goddamn deadcore already.
Sugar, spice, and oh, the reboot doesn't do that anymore.
What? You realize the intro on Cartoon Network is not the full intro, right? It does have that part.
Spice and everything nice. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl.
Allow me to bring in the 25-second version that Cartoon Network usually plays within their overall show. They didn't really bring that into the overall intro, especially for the fact that they usually play the 25-second version of it when the show airs on Cartoon Network. Yes, the 2-minute version does have that part, but even then, does anybody within the US really want to sit through a 2-minute version of the intro when it does air? The goal is to engage the audience and get hooked over something for a small time frame. Having 2 minutes as the intro would be a tad bit long, and some viewers might be turned off by that. Finally, I don't really want to bring in Pan Pizza's part 1 of his review of the new Powerpuff Girls into this and actually focus this video on its own merits, but he did complain about why this is somewhat of a problem. This is somewhat of a problem because the new audience wouldn't know that they were made by Sugar, Spice, Everything Nice, and Chemical X. They would just think, oh yeah, they fight crime while having superpowers in the curfew, but that'll just be it.
Powerpuff Girls 2016 at first feels like the old show, but you eventually realize they managed to screw up everything.
You haven't really watched the new Powerpuff Girls show, have you? And I mean really watched it. Take off those cheap nostalgia glasses and give it a fair chance.
And how about you take those Mon goggles that you have off? I mean, dude, I can see you past that hood, and you seem to have those self-prescription goggles recently, huh? All joking aside, you're only using that argument just so that you can discredit everything that Pan Pizza had to say about the overall show because it's just nostalgia. I mean, it just kinda feels like as if this entire video that you've made is only because of the fact that it's new and not really on its own merit. This argument is also dumb because at times you don't really know what some of the people grew up with.
Of course it's not going to be like the original. But you know what? The original wasn't that great. It was a good show, and me and my friends loved growing up with it, but it still has its flaws. For one, the animation was good, and it had its own style, but this show's animation is 100 times better. The animation is fluent, and yes, I think it's a great improvement over Craig McCracken's style. And I don't just mean the original animation, I mean Craig McCracken, the creator style in general. I don't like his animation style that much, and if I had to choose between this and this,
Wow. Guess the party's over. Nice.
yeah, I choose the new style. And don't tell me you wouldn't.
I won. There, I've said it. You can't invade my onion farm now, you pleb! But seriously, I actually didn't really like the overall animation style that they had within the overall show. For starters, it just seems kinda bland. I mean, especially with the overall Flash animation that's going on now to date. The color choices seems a bit generic, and I felt like it had somewhat the same style / movement as shows like Steven Universe, Clarence, and maybe We Bare Bears at times share some similar traits with the Powerpuff Girls reboot. Though, what am I doing? My point here is completely subjective. Though how you view the animation will be brought up later on within the video when I explain the whole subjectivity part on your end. What I can say, however, is that you're basically used something from seasons 1 to 2 of the old show to back up your point when season 5 and 6 had, to me personally, much better animation style as it's a lot more fluid and smooth. That's kinda really not a good comparison to make, truth be told, as both of the art styles are a bit different from the later seasons to the earlier seasons.
She'll be there.
The main joke about Powerpuff Girls is that it's cutesy soft girls in a sharp pointy rough world full of threatening villains. But the reboot is cutesy soft girls in a cutesy soft world full of cutesy soft villains. Where's the contrast?
What the heck are you talking about? That wasn't the joke of the show or the idea of the show. You wanna know what that was?
So when you originally created the Powerpuff Girls, what did you have in mind for the show?
I just wanted to do a really cool superhero show, and I just thought drawing 3 little girls as superheroes was way more interesting than a big, strong, muscly guy. Because you've seen that muscly guy a million times and it doesn't mean anything, but these little girls seem new and fresh, and they just seemed a lot tougher because they were so cute.
That clip actually strengthened his point, really. Even if Craig mainly wanted to have the show with cutesy girls as being the main heroes, Craig actually kinda said what Pan Pizza mainly just said, as the concept was mainly about the cutesy girls being the overall heroes. Though there's also this part that you've stated at the very next point.
This new show still retains that, and the roundness of the characters, whether villain or not, adds to the new style of the show. That's not a minus, that's a plus.
But even then, while not outright stated, he either implied for the fact, or one can even argue for the fact that you can add in the cutesy girls as being the superheroes, but also use the other same formulas as having the world being tough and scary, with the villains also being tough and scary, and it could work. That worked here in the old show because you would see the girls struggle through the harsh surroundings of the world. If you compared it to the new show, yeah, they added something new by making everything cutesy, but that doesn't work here because the show made it so cutesy to the point where some of the overall context doesn't make it so drastic and quote-unquote realistic.
Remember all the violence in the old show? Well, they chose to rarely show the impacts anymore.
Pick one of us!
No, they chose to make it similar to the original. Because the creators of the show actually cared, and they wanted fans of the original to appreciate their attention to detail. They rarely even showed the context of the fists in the original show. And not to mention, did you just miss this scene?
Yeah, no. Both of the shows are not similar towards the overall action scenes. Your example of the newer show have an impact towards the violence is a lot more tamer than the ones from the older show. I mean, even your example of the older show had blood on it. Fucking blood.
Hence what Pan Pizza was trying to say within his point.
We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. All right.
The show now has less crime fighting and instead has morals and bonding, character driving. Yeah.
Are you really complaining about that? Okay, where do I even begin? Oh, man. How can you complain about a show that teaches kids moral lessons and makes you feel good at the end of the episode? Short answer, you can't. Because making these characters human and giving them personalities beyond the original is a much needed improvement.
That is until if a show gets way too preachy with its morals to the point where it becomes annoying because of how terrible a story it could be. I mean, one example that I would have to bring up would have to be Horn Sweet Horn. In that episode, I'm not going to be touching about the whole transgender part, as honestly that really wasn't the concept of that show. But one of the morals that was within the episode, however, was don't rush into decisions. To explain more about this, I'll be bringing Doodletones' review of the episode as she explains this better, and you guys should check the review out, the link is in the description.
Using a horse that believed it was a unicorn being a metaphor for transgenderism is one thing, but using a unicorn who thought it was a horse who believed he at heart was a unicorn is something entirely different. Especially if you're gonna make your morals don't rush into things, which is a pretty big issue when you think about it. You kinda failed at your own moral trying to push an agenda and explore something like gender dysphoria. It kinda feels like you were doing it for the sake of doing it.
There are plenty of other episodes that could actually be the case, but often than not, that's actually one of the overall problems within the show.
Oh god, morals! What are you trying to teach?
It's amazing that the creators of the show even chose this route, especially with all the dumb parenting shows Cartoon Network has on now. Like Uncle Grandpa, Teen Titans Go, heck, even Gumball now just panders to kids.
I would like to contest you with the point about the amazing role of Gumball, but possibly towards some of the other shows that you've mentioned, but mainly towards Gumball overall. Heaven forbid the show tried to appeal to a demographic other than your own. I mean, sure, there would be adults who would watch the show, but when it panders to children, then we need to stop and call the presses. Also, I would like to read a comment that you've made when someone actually did complain about Gumball being mentioned, since I have a feeling that if you're going to do a reply video to me, you'll bring this point up. The new episodes of Gumball are pandering. Nearly all of the new ones ends in the middle of a sudden situation, most likely to try and keep children's attention and literally end when an action is going on, but not in a good way. Sorry dude, but that's not pandering. According to WiseGeek, and I quote, pandering is the practice of adapting public statements and actions to fit the culture within a given group of persons. Essentially, pandering is intended to placate the individuals who make up the group and allow the speaker to make a connection with the group as a whole. If anything, your problem with the amazing role of Gumball isn't really because of it pandering, since they end in the middle of a sudden situation. I think your main issue with it is because of how it could be anticlimactic, though it really depends given on how it's performed, but I digress.
Not to mention, so you complain about Teen Titans Go when it's just a bunch of pointless filler nonsense trying to keep children's attention. But you also complain when a show actually has a point and a good lesson to teach? Are you ever satisfied?
You've misinterpreted the point again. He was saying that the show is way too preachy. He was not saying that he hated the morals overall. Please stop misinterpreting the point. You have given me cancer, AIDS, Ebola, and the secret virus all at once, you monster! Sorry. Though, can I ask you a question about the overall point about Teen Titans Go? Since when did he ever say that he complained about it being pointless filler nonsense trying to keep children's attention? I've asked this because based on his review of the show as well as the number 8 entry of the same countdown this is on, he never really complained about that aspect. Hell, he likes the show, but the only thing is that he doesn't even want it to be successful. Hell, he even find the humor of that show to be good. If you can provide me some proof as to where he stated that, then I can possibly retract this claim, but again, kinda confused here.
But it also has jokes you've already heard in other cartoons.
It's true. I was being
A horrible Buttzilla. Now say I'm a Buttzilla.
Your argument that it reuses others' jokes is that they use the word Buttzilla? You know that wasn't a joke for the audience to even laugh at, right? It was just for the characters, God.
First of all, why exactly is a joke in there if the writers know that you weren't meant to laugh at it? It just kinda seems lazy writing if you're not trying to entertain your audience. Secondly, the joke was supposed to be how Bubbles would try to fool someone to say Buttzilla because they were trying to hug it out. You did stated that the joke was supposed to be for the characters, but it really wasn't relevant to the episode's plot. So the only purpose it serves within the episode is a joke.
It's not like when something funny does happen in a cartoon, every character stops and laughs at that joke with the audience. No! They totally ignore a joke that we're supposed to laugh at, and it's the same the other way around. We're not supposed to laugh at a joke that the characters find funny. I mean, it's not like you laughed at Blossom in that episode where her hair was shaved. If you did, you're a horrible person.
Okay, to be fair, that was actually a little bit funny. Well, looks like I'm going to hell, aren't I? A joke can be used for both the characters and the audience. One thing that you fail to point out is the infectious nature of laughter. Having characters audibly laugh in the episode with no setup to establish that you shouldn't also be laughing encourages laughter.
I think we got some tough times ahead of us.
tough times.
Change spoken!
Aww, you're starting to learn about titles. Aren't you? Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Okay, but seriously, just because it had titles come up over the footage doesn't mean anything.
Okay, editing nitpick here, but Jesus Christ, was that explosion very sloppily edited. I mean, it just feels like as if you made the contrast to the green screen very high to the point where the explosion looked like some of it was taken out. And then we have some shitty see-through explosion. Besides, that's not an explosion. This is an explosion! And that's how you're supposed to do an explosion properly. I should become the Michael Bay of commentaries. Except my content is considered to be good by many. I was mainly just talking about the explosions. Also, you've misinterpreted the point again. Sure, he didn't outright say it, but I think it would be pretty clear about how it's not the title that made it a ripoff. It was mainly how the title was executed. Both of them have the over-exaggerated narrator voices with the same timing and feeling of each other. Pan Pizza didn't really say it was a ripoff because it uses titles. He said it was a ripoff because they both have the exact same context.
And wasn't your argument that this was a joke stolen from another show? 1, it's not a joke. 2, it's done well, not too annoying, and it does help the episode. So why would that even matter?
So, your first argument. I personally disagree with you on that front because Power was meant to engage the audience at random humor. Then your next argument is that it helps the episode. How exactly? You don't really explain on that front about how it's supposed to help the episode out at all. There, TVB, I finally used Steve from American Dad. Are you fucking happy now, you extremely nice person?
Excitement.
Skate. Butter.
Running out of examples there, weren't you? So, a word echoes. That's your comparison from Pickle and Peanut to the new Powerpuff Girls? In that case, I'm surprised you didn't include...
Ricky No.
Or was that just too much work for you?
Hold up, my nostalgia senses are tingling. Oh, wait a minute, why am I using this avatar? Be gone, I say! Your only point here is to become a neglected avatar that I'll never use! Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, that last clip that you've just used. I think that I remember that clip that you used from somewhere. I just can't really seem to put my finger on it. Oh my god, please don't tell me! That wasn't supposed to be a joke, you friend! And even then, the main reason why the other two wouldn't work as examples was because you didn't really understand what the joke was supposed to be about. The joke was about repeating something a couple of times in a whisper in order to make it more of an echoey feel to it. This is to make things more, quote-unquote, edgy.
There's episodes that are remakes of the original Powerpuff, like you can't help but compare and see how generic it is. Remember the one where Buttercup joins a gang? Well, the cool thing about the Green Gang in the original, as opposed to the new Roller Derby gang, is they didn't copy and paste the same character over.
You mean like Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup are pretty much copy and paste characters?
You know, I would just point to you the comment section of your videos. They actually seem to get the point across, but I might as well repeat their point for my viewers' sake. The main reason why Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup aren't clones physically is because of the different shapes that they have within their overall head. Blossom has the long hair going down her back while she's wearing a bow on her head. Bubbles has ponytails, and Buttercup has I don't know, something that looks spiky, fangs, maybe? So if you make a silhouette towards the girls, then you can obviously tell them apart. And of course, the same thing can be said towards the new show with those main characters. Even then, thinking about this logically, they are technically triplets, so of course they would at least look somewhat similar to each other. However, when it comes towards the roller derby game, the silhouettes of their bodies are identical, meaning you cannot tell who's who besides maybe the leader. Some might say that's lazy writing / animating right there. Oh, and before you argue for the fact that they were also sisters, that wasn't really established within the overall episodes when they did show up.
Your argument is that this is a ripoff of the Gangrene episode from the original? And yet this episode features Princess, a giant bug monster, and roller derby. But no, it's a ripoff because Buttercup isn't hanging out with the girls. That's really where your comparison would end. The roller girls aren't even bad guys. They didn't even threaten Buttercup or even pick a fight with her. Heck, in the end, they helped free Blossom and Bubbles from a trap set by Princess. They're good guys.
You see, the Derby Taunts, we protect our sisters, and that includes sisters of sisters.
Why are you so set on assuming they're just copy and paste villains when you're obviously not even paying attention?
The villain can be different and still be used for the same plot. The plot is that Buttercup hangs out with the gang instead of the girls, which is very similar to the original episode's plot, but told with different characters. And the roller derby girls do stand in Buttercup's way when she tries to go help, thus putting them in the same role.
Remember 2 weeks ago when I made that Mojo meme generator?
The entire art style, as well as the show itself, ranges from meh to insulting.
No, it's not. The art is creative and vibrant. It's soft and wonderful. This world feels large, especially to the Powerpuff Girls. You can pick apart the design as much as you want, but not all of us agree with you. It takes the original style, updates and improves it while adding a little something of its own. Look at Townsville! It actually feels like a city! It feels like hundreds of people live here, as opposed to that misshapen building blocks of the original.
You actually want to know what I've noticed not only in this point, but also within the other time where he mentioned the art style / animation? It just feels like as if he came off as rather something that's kind of objective. Especially with how you said things like,
and don't tell me you would.
As not everyone is going to have the same opinions of the overall art and animation style. This is also prevalent with how you treat Pan's point as something objective when it's not. Honestly, that's not how critiquing works. You don't force your said opinions down towards someone's throat to the point where you face life in prison for choking the guy. Yes, you're supposed to articulate your point in an intelligent manner and show why you think the way you do in a way that makes sense to the general public, but opinions do play a heavy role within reviewing / critiquing the said piece. And the fact that you're dismissing Pants' opinion within this video like this, calling him an nostalgia tard, and something else later on within the video is kinda saddening. And a bit funny, actually. Hold up, let me grab them Keemstar popcorn. This might actually be entertaining as shit right here.
It's not bad because it's different. It's bad because it tries to recreate the old show and does average, while anything new it does falls flat. Like Shaolin Chronicles, everything done here could have been done better in the old show. Everything done here could have been done better in the old show. Could have been done better in the old show. Could have been done better in the old show. Could have been done better in the old show.
Always deserved this.
This is going to be good.
Can I take her out now? Let's do this. Hey, meatheads! Rhino kebab! Time to heat things up. Flamethrower! This is totally gonna suck. For you. That was awesome! Yay!
Yeah, I believe those examples both countered and annihilated your claim, Mr. Chaxi.
Way to fucking drag out your fucking point with not only repeating Pan Pizza's clip multiple times, but also providing like 3 examples, one of which was about like 30 seconds, mind you, when you could have just explained in a sentence or two to explain your point. If this was about the overall animation to the new show being, well, new, and the old show being outdated, then way to drag out the video even more by repeating the point when you could have just skipped it. Is this the main reason why you only made this into a 17-minute-ish critique on something that was only 2 minutes worth? Bruh, don't do that shit again. Say it once, maybe twice if you need to, and then never repeat that shit again.
We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips.
All right.
It's a reboot that can't stand separate.
You know what? Maybe I agree. It doesn't stand separate. It flies off and excels where the original couldn't.
Please don't tell me that you actually believe in that shit, huh? But please? Alright, fine. Looks like I'm just gonna slowly die in a corner now, especially with the overall fact that your statement doesn't really have any sort of substance whatsoever. Did I just use my actual face as an avatar? No. I am not going to be using my actual face nor my actual body for any of my future content, so I have no idea as to why I'm even... Really? Huh.
It has nothing unique to offer besides shoving in smartphones, twerking, and lingo that'll be outdated in a few years.
I guess you weren't paying attention when they were totally dismissing these ideas.
I can't. Can't what? Even? Can't even what? Oh, like she literally can't even. Whatever.
You see, Buttercup didn't care about the phrase Blossom said, so the audience doesn't even have to.
Yeah. Well, my name is Blossom and I'm here to say no! No rapping!
See, even Bubbles didn't want to hear that rap, because even the writers knew it wasn't going to be very good.
Then explain to me as to why people are critiquing the show mainly for having those moments where they did place in some of the internet memes / pop culture references within the overall show. Like the No Me Gusta face, or the twerking incident that killed millions. Just because that they're not wanting to keep some of the parts in doesn't mean that they decided to try some of the other stuff out too.
OMG! Yes! You do it! No me gusta!
I agree. The show would have been better if they didn't include those references. It might make it seem a bit dated in the future.
Oh, so you meant for the fact that there's a few things that they could have cut it out. Oh, and silly me, here I thought I was actually doing my job right, but instead I have you stealing it. You took my jib!
They took your jab!
We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips. We know your home skips, pick up the phone skips.
All right.
Shut up and stay away from this show, because you don't have to watch it by every little meaning of that phrase.
Oh my god, you actually did that. You actually used the "don't like the show, don't watch a" card, did you? Holy crap. This really discredits you as a critic. No, cut me off. I need air. Oh, sorry. That would have happened if I didn't cut myself off like that. There are so many problems within this argument, one of which is the fact that he's a critic and that it's his job, but you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna leave Pie Guy Rules' video about the whole don't watch argument being idiotic in the description. However, I want to bring in one point that Pie Guy made within that video because I think out of any of these, this one pretty much fits you the most.
I don't like this argument because you're effectively telling people to shut up. That is what it is. You are just saying, well, you don't like it, so stop having an opinion. As if only people who are fans are allowed to have their opinion heard. As if you have to be positive, and if you're negative, that's a bad thing.
Hell, the main reason why I've came up with that conclusion is because besides that one point about adding in culture references in the show, you're not really giving Pan Pizza a chance. Especially when not only does he wanted to make a video later about the issue, but the fact that you've constantly cut it into his overall argument to make this reply video longer than it needed to be.
It doesn't hurt anyone, and as far as I know, it's actually good for kids. So even if you were to argue that the reason you would watch it and bash it is because this is what Cartoon Network is showing kids these days, then that is totally invalid!
You do realize for the fact that he doesn't really review a show because it would quote-unquote ruin kids these days and actually review it on their own, right? Anyways, he basically explains why kids won't be ruined by the show, except for the fact that he doesn't like regular show. You freaking monster, I will suck your fucking soul out, you bitch! And then, this part.
Fatality.
Two issues here. One, why all of a sudden did you make this one a CinemaSins style of outro by using the sins counter? Well, I'm not saying for the fact that you're ripping them off, but the fact that your video wasn't really in the style throughout your own video makes this whole sin counter kinda unneeded, truth be told. Finally, you're holding the scythe the wrong way, especially when you killed someone. This is how you're supposed to hold it. And after all of that bullshit, as well as a message saying to leave a like and a subscribe, the video finally ends. Now, look, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to critique on a popular YouTuber. Hell, I would be lying to myself when I say that there were plenty of commentaries within the commentary community that were on some of the more popular YouTubers, and I generally enjoyed them. However, your video was just long and tedious to sit through. You have constantly made your points as very objective as you made them to be, when really, the point should be subjective as not everyone would like the overall show itself for one reason or another, and considering the fact that when someone had a simple disagreement with you within the comment section down below, it just seems like as if you're trying so desperately hard to sway the other person to see your overall point of view, but in reality, it just kinda doesn't really help at all. Not only that, but this isn't how you should review something within the first place, as opinions can play a big role on how you articulate your points. To make matters worse is the fact that you've repeated the same argument at times as well as dragging out your points at other times, which, if you would cut that info out, then this reply video that you've made would have been like, I don't know, like 10 minutes maximum instead of like freaking 17 minutes. Oh, and before you call me out on being a nostalgia tard, I actually thought that the new PBG is okay. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's great, nor would I say it's bad, but it's just generally okay. I mean, the art / animation seems bland, but it's not lazy for the most part. The voice acting in the new cast seems okay. The jokes, while some of them are ripoffs and the other are a bit predictable or whatnot, are okay. It's just okay. But then again, you're also talking to the same person who also thinks that Teen Titans Go is okay too. Look, in retrospect, my advice, actually learn as to how to critique something when it comes towards an argument that you wanted to make. Otherwise, the way that you're doing it now is not going to get a lot of people to either agree with you or even take you seriously. So, Boonslayer, what do you think of my avatar list I have?
I feel dead inside!
Wake me up! Wake me up inside! I can't wake up! Wake me up inside!
I really need to clean up my memes folder because holy crap, they have gotten old fast. Anyways, that's the commentary. If you guys found some issues within the video, then leave it down in the comments below, or you may have my permission to do a commentary on this video. For now, my name is A363MTR saying have a wonderful journey through the depths of space and time, but until then, I'm signing out.
Me too. Watch the summon.